Well, hello! Welcome. Today we're going to be looking at The Rain King, Episode 8 of Season 6. Premiering January 10th, 1999, The Rain King is Mulder and Scully heading down to good old Kansas so they can investigate a fraudster who claims he can control the weather. Valentine's Day? Does the X-Files not know we're currently in the midst of Spooktember? First Christmas, now this? Anywho, this lady Sheila is setting up for a nice romantic night with her fiancé Daryl. However, he doesn't seem nearly as thrilled. She even went out of her way to put their engagement in the paper, but it looks like they'll have to put all that on hold because it hasn't rained in a while.
Oh, look at that. And you wonder why your ass is so big.
I don't know, I mean, you could call me a fat ass if it means I can enjoy some nice Valentine's Day chocolate, but none of those toffee ones, please. They need to get rid of those things. You know, I don't know what it is about this guy, but I don't think he actually likes her. Nothing like a little beer and night driving during a rainstorm. See, Daryl, it rained. You didn't have to call your fiancé fat. Well, good luck with your insurance there, Mr. Likes to Drink and Drive. I'm sorry, but if the hail was actually this big, it would have caved this man's skull in. I mean, they tell people not to throw pennies off skyscrapers for that exact reason. Mulder and Scully are brought out here for some reason. I've mentioned this a couple times already, and I'm gonna mention it again. Whatever the studio has done to their hair has aged them both by like 10 years. They look less like FBI and more like a couple taking their kids to Little League. Anyways, Mulder and Scully were called down here because the mayor believes Daryl is causing a drought and using his rain-calling ability to grift off the locals. I am very confused as to how this managed to get approved by Kirsch. I have my doubts Kirsch would be okay with them investigating a man who claims to control the weather.
A man controlling the weather.
I mean, the government does it, so why can't one man? The agents speak to Daryl's secretary and get a list of his clients. Mulder then notices the weather report on the TV, so they decide to pay a little visit to the weatherman. I don't know why they'd bother with the weatherman. I feel like I can make just as accurate a guess simply by sticking my head outside. When the agents arrive at the station, they get mistaken by Sheila and weatherman Holman for being a couple who won some contest. I don't exactly fault them for making the mistake. If I saw two people that looked this good, I'd assume they were an item too.
Oh, there's the Gundersons! Over here!
It's like looking in a mirror.
He's such an ass, which is precisely why I love this man. Holman straight up tells the agents there's no way Daryl's controlling the weather, and as soon as he does, Scully's like, alright, can we go now? Although he quickly walks that back and is like, actually, maybe he does control the rain. Maybe just a teeny tiny bit. Man, this party looks lit.
Look at the desperation on these people's faces, Mulder. They're ready to believe anything.
Yeah, look at these hillbillies that are all praying for some rain so their crops don't die and they all starve to death. Have no fear, everybody, because the Rain King is here. I like how they have a whole setup for him too. Cold beer, cigarettes, and are those Reese's Pieces?
I am 164 Cherokee, and I can summon up my ancestors.
Somehow, flailing like a jackass and maybe having some native ancestry, though I'm highly skeptical, is all it takes to make it rain. Anyways, Sheila and Holman have a little chit-chat about the agents and what they could want from Daryl, which is something I also have questions about. She tells Holman she still loves Daryl, to which he responds, how? I'm starting to feel like maybe Holman has a thing for Sheila. I'm also starting to feel like this is an episode of The Love Boat and not The X-Files. It's just relationship drama and absolutely nothing spooky. I don't know who's making all that racket, but how dare you wake up my Scully at 3 in the morning? Oh my god, aliens are abducting the cattle. There's gotta be a Twister cow reference in there somewhere. The following day, Holman apologizes for what happened, but why would he be apologizing? It's not like he caused his son and Minnie Twister to throw that cow because he became emotional over Sheila. That wouldn't make much sense. What also doesn't make sense is Sheila claiming she somehow caused the cow to get hurled through the air. Apparently she has a history of strange weather events following her throughout her life, and blames all of this, including Daryl's Rain King nonsense, on her emotions. I have to call nonsense on this, because since when are women emotional?
Nothing is good!
Mulder then comes to the conclusion that maybe it's Holman the weatherman. Strangely, it rained rose petals the day his mother died, and anytime there's been some kind of atmospheric disturbance, he finds himself in the hospital. So it's Holman's emotions that are affecting the weather and not Sheila's.
Sheila, hi. I was just thinking about you. I'm looking forward to the reunion tomorrow night.
I wonder if Holman's undying love for Sheila has anything to do with these random storms. Sheila calls Holman up so she can tell him the great news that she's finally over Daryl. However, she puts everyone's life at risk when she mentions that she might have a thing for Agent Mulder.
Well, what do you think of Agent Mulder?
Mulder then has a man-to-man with Holman, basically telling him to get some help and talk to someone before more people die. However, it seems as though Mulder's flight out has been cancelled because Holman needs some manly advice from the Casanova of love himself.
Dating advice from whom?
Yours truly. Hello? Hey, Scully. Scully, you there?
I heard you. Mulder, when was the last time you went on a date?
I will talk to you later.
Honestly though, since when is the last time either of them have been on a date? Hard times have seemingly hit the Rain King since he can no longer make it rain. But what I find more interesting is that sweet computer in the background. I remember the good old days of looking up rotting corpses with my friends in the school library. Daryl decides he's gonna leave his new girl for Sheila, not because he cares about her, but because he wants her money. Holman and Mulder continue with their little talk, though it turns into more of a one-sided affair with Holman asking Mulder why he's never tried anything with such an enchanting woman like Agent Scully. I ask myself that same question every time I watch this show.
And Holman, do not gaze at Scully.
No, of course he doesn't. Holman attempts to tell Sheila how he actually feels, but it looks more like he ate a bad gas station burrito. He tells her, but I don't think she really understood what he means. She takes his expression of love in a more friendly sort of way, but this has me questioning if this was the best course of action. Yeah, he loves her, but if she doesn't love him back, and if she rejects him, I think we could be looking at a Roland Emmerich-style disaster.
What are you talking about?
She said that she loves me, but that she's in love with you.
But she barely knows him. Just wait until she finds out about his crippling porn addiction. Daryl tries to take a swing at Mulder despite Mulder not doing anything, but how can he help that all the ladies want him? I mean, look at him. Imagine going through your whole life looking like that. The best part is Scully's reaction to this whole thing, but she really does have the worst timing when Mulder's locking lips with another woman. Can't worry about the kiss right now because it looks like there's a giant octopus on the way. Mulder and Scully head to Holman and Sheila's high school reunion, but Holman treats Mulder like this whole thing is his fault. I don't know how he can feel that way. It's not like Mulder was the one that made a move on Sheila. And plus, if she doesn't see you that way, I think it's time to move on, bud. It's been 20 years. Anyways, Mulder and Scully manage to get Holman and Sheila dancing, and maybe now he'll finally nut up and tell her how he really feels.
I'll build the ark, you gather the animals. I was kidding.
He does finally tell her, but it doesn't exactly go how I'm sure he had hoped. I guess this means they're all dead, right? Scully has a little woman-to-woman with Sheila, first explaining Mulder's theory that he thinks Holman can control the weather and that his love for her is what's causing all these crazy storms. Though, why would that matter to her? It's not really Sheila's problem that Holman can't keep his emotions in check. Just do what we all do, Holman. Bottle everything up inside until you're ready to explode, and then hit the gym while listening to motivational speeches given by Prince Vegeta. Daryl shows up to the party looking for Sheila. In the meantime, she's in the bathroom questioning Scully as to why she hasn't hooked up with Mulder. Scully does drop a little nugget of wisdom when she goes on about how the strongest relationships are usually rooted in friendship first. But is she talking about Holman and Sheila, or herself and Mulder? Anyway, Sheila makes her way back to Holman, and I guess she loves him back all of a sudden. Sure, she says his weather-controlling powers is the most romantic thing she's ever seen, but it does save the day, I guess. They definitely wasted no time though, because only a year later and they already have a baby? Way to go, Holman. Rain King sure is an episode. I actually do like this one and have watched it many times, but it's not really an X-File. Sure, the whole controlling the weather thing is interesting, but like I mentioned, the episode feels more like an episode of The Love Boat than an episode of The X-Files. Every Love Boat episode basically plays the same. People meet, they fall in love, there's some crazy drama, and then by the end, everyone just loves each other again. And that's really all this is. The only thing that really saves it are some of the character moments with Mulder and Scully. Scully's little speech at the end is pretty good, though it feels like Scully's actually talking about herself and Mulder. There are some fun jokes. I especially like the one aimed at Mulder's non-existent love life. There's not really a whole lot to say, it's fine, but probably the weakest of the season so far. The Rain King is what I like to call X-Files light. It's long on whimsy, short on monsters, and there's really no serious danger to Mulder or Scully. It's basically a romantic comedy with a little paranormal flair sprinkled on top. The episode was actually filmed in the fall of '98, but didn't air until January, and when it did, fans online weren't exactly kind. Writer-producer Frank Spotnitz admitted, "I know it wasn't a favorite online, but I loved it. It was broader than what we usually do, but very sweet, and everyone was charming." This was the first X-Files script from new staff writer Jeffrey Bell. At the time, Bell wasn't even interested in TV writing. He was a graphic designer and photographer whose only credit was a little indie film called Radio Inside. But he was a huge X-Files fan. So in 1998, he met with the 1013 crew and pitched a few ideas. One of those ideas became The Rain King. The team bought it as a freelance script, and over the next few months, Bell worked with Spotnitz, John Sheban, and Vince Gilligan building the story on index cards. When they finally pitched it to Chris Carter, Bell went home with a message on his answering machine saying they wanted him on staff. Not a bad outcome for your first TV pitch. Bell has said that the heart of the story really grew stronger in rewrites, focusing on Weatherman Holman Hart's feelings. Spotnitz and Sheban helped tie that back to Mulder and Scully, since, you know, two repressed FBI agents who refuse to tell each other how they really feel. Yeah, I think it fits. Bell would later go on to write the season 6 episode Alpha, which, yeah, not great. And after X-Files, he jumped to Angel, eventually becoming showrunner during Season 4. And let me just say, Season 4 of Angel is absolute dog shit. I still get mad about it. Now, production on Rain King had its share of fun challenges. For example, the scene where Daryl crashes his Mustang during a Valentine's Day hailstorm, they actually shut down a stretch of road on the Grapevine north of LA. The crew loaded up two 40-foot trucks with ice crushers, and a dozen guys pelted the Mustang with crushed ice, while Kim Manners kept demanding retakes until just before sunrise. Then there's the infamous flying cow. Honestly, the effect looks a little janky compared to other X-Files shots, but it was complicated. First, the production team literally cut a giant hole in the roof of a motel, promising the owner a brand new roof afterward. Then they rented a herd of cows, photographed them for digital reference, and built a 500-pound cow puppet for the set piece. Of course, things went sideways when they accidentally filmed a brown cow falling through Mulder's roof, even though the script called for black and white. Special effects supervisor Bill Miller unfortunately had to recolor the cow so it would match. Kim Manners later said the one thing he regretted the most was not having David ad-lib "got milk" when the cow crashed through the ceiling. Actor Clayton Rohner played the sleazy one-legged conman Daryl Moots, complete with prosthetics and a painful leg harness that kept his real leg hidden. I always thought he kinda looked familiar, and sure enough, he was in the 1986 slasher film April Fool's Day, and the 90s monster flick The Relic, which I love. I even used to own a statue of the creature from that movie. And here's a hot take, but as good as Clayton is, the role of Daryl feels like it was made for Bill Paxton. Plus, season 6 was full of celebrity cameos anyway, so why not go all in? Another bit of casting trivia, Sheila is played by Victoria Jackson, who is the third of the SNL alumni to appear on season 6. Honestly, I had no idea she was a part of SNL until much later, but like I said before, I never thought the show was very good. Let's just say she's an interesting woman, and if you want a good laugh, look her up. Here's something unfortunate though. Rain King was the most watched episode of season 6, pulling in over 20 million viewers. In fact, this is the last X-Files episode to ever cross that threshold. Which makes me wonder, did so many people tuning into this light and goofy rom-com of an episode hurt the show moving forward? I'm not saying it did, but I think there might be an argument to be made there. The Rain King currently sits at 7.3 on IMDb. It's not great, but I still get some fun out of it, so I'm probably gonna go with a 6. Up next, Skinner gets infected by an unknown disease, and Krychek wears the most ridiculous disguise I have ever seen. I mean, what the hell is this? In the episode, SR819. So what do you think of the Rain King? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, I hope I see you in the next one, and stay spooky!
There are some guys
Does that look like a man who can control the weather?
you never want to make angry.
What do you mean there's somebody else?
What do you think of Agent Mulder?
This is the guy?
Not your face!
An all-new episode of The X-Files, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
I'd also like to thank these fine folks for their support, and if you'd like to help the channel grow, think about becoming a member. Again, you don't have to, but I would greatly appreciate it.